I was born and raised in Orlu, a small town in southeastern Nigeria. Life there is simple. People know each other, and the sounds of the market, children playing, and the chatter of neighbors fill the air. But in 2019, everything started to change. At first, it felt like just another usual day. I was sitting with my brother, Chijioke, by the roadside near the old church, waiting for a bus to head to Owerri. The sun was blazing hot, and the dust in the air made me squint. That was when we heard the first gunshot. It was distant, but sharp enough to make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. What was that? I asked Chijioke, my voice shaky. Probably nothing. It's just some protesters, maybe, he replied, but there was a little uncertainty in his voice. We had both heard the rumors. People were talking about Biafra again. The younger generation, mostly people our age and younger, had been increasingly interested in the idea of Biafra's independence. Biafra was an old dream, a painful one, born out of the Civil War years ago. But now, some people believed it could still happen. The separatist group, IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, had been pushing hard for it. We didn't think much of it that day. I got on the bus and Chijioke went home, but it wouldn't be long before things started getting worse. A week later, there was another protest. This time, it was bigger. A group of young men, some with red armbands, were marching through the streets of Orlu. They were chanting for Biafra, demanding freedom. At first, it seemed peaceful. The crowd wasn't violent, but the tension was in the air. I heard people shouting, some in support, others in fear. But then, it happened. Gunshots rang out again, and this time, they were closer. People screamed and ran in all directions. I saw a man, maybe in his 40s, fall to the ground near me. Blood pooled around him. I couldn't tell if he was alive. My heart raced. The military had come into the town. They're here. Someone shouted. I didn't know if it was the police or the army, but the soldiers were everywhere now, with guns drawn, pushing people away. They shot into the air to scare people. Some of them were beating anyone they could catch. It was chaos. I don't know how I got away, but I ran, all the way to my house. When I got there, I told my mother what I had seen. She was crying, praying quietly to herself. "Why are they doing this, Mama?" I asked, my voice trembling, but my mother didn't answer. She just held me, telling me that we should pray for peace. That was just the beginning. The violence got worse in the months that followed. Orlu became a battleground. The military came and went, sometimes shooting and arresting people. We never knew who they would target next. Young men who were thought to be part of IPOB were picked up, beaten, or worse, disappeared. The town became quiet. People stayed indoors, afraid to even leave for food. The economy took a hit as many businesses closed. I couldn't even go to the market anymore without worrying about the soldiers. I remember one day in 2020, I was walking to a friend's house. I had heard that they were organizing a memorial for the Biafran war victims. When I reached the area, I saw a group of men talking. They were older, but I could tell they were serious. Another man was talking about how Biafra must come again. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The military had arrived again. They weren't there for the memorial. They were there to stop it. I saw them pull out their rifles, shouting at people to scatter. A few people started running, but some tried to stand their ground. I saw one of the soldiers push an old man to the ground. His white hair was stained red from where his head hit the dirt. I couldn't do anything. I went back home, my heart heavy. The town was torn. Some people still supported the idea of Biafra, hoping for an independent nation. Others just wanted peace, any kind of peace. The situation became worse every year. The government kept sending troops into the area, accusing IPOB members of violence, but the civilians were the ones suffering. There was no clear line between the protesters and the everyday people just trying to survive. By 2021, the tension reached a boiling point. A lot of people I knew were scared to leave their homes. The military checkpoints were everywhere. Even when we tried to go to church, soldiers would stop us and check our bags, asking questions that made no sense. They treated everyone like they were part of the problem, even though most of us just wanted to live our lives in peace. Then, in late 2022, a new wave of violence came. There were more attacks by the military, and people who were suspected of being involved with IPOB were targeted. At one point, I saw a few of my friends getting arrested. I didn't know if they would come back or not. Everyone was on edge, not knowing who to trust. It was only last year, in 2023, when the protests started again. But now, people weren't just protesting in Orlu. The movement spread to other parts of the Southeast, Owerri, Aba, Onitsha. Every city seemed to be affected, and the government wasn't backing down. There were curfews imposed, and even the school children had to stay home. Orlu was becoming like a ghost town. Every day was a reminder that things weren't the same anymore. My family started talking about leaving, but we didn't know where to go. It felt like the whole world was closing in on us. Now, in 2024, the situation hasn't changed much. Orlu still feels like a place caught between two worlds. The military is still here, and the cries for Biafra haven't stopped. Some people want independence, while others just want peace. Every time I hear a gunshot, my heart races, and I wonder if today will be the day that it all finally breaks apart. We still hear the whispers of Biafra, but sometimes it feels like just a distant dream, too far to reach. I look around now, and I wonder what happened to the place I once knew. The faces of my friends, some of whom I'll never see again, haunt me. But we keep moving. We have to, even if the world around us feels broken. All we can do is hope that one day, this violence will stop and that we'll be able to live in peace again.